And welcome to the SuperCoach Experience Sunday wrap. Maxi is unfortunately a bit sick today, so it's going to be me and Tim taking you through the wrap-up of this week. Still no news on the New South Wales team. We've had a bit of hints about the team already through the day. As soon as we see that, we'll let you know what the exact team is and I guess the implications that has for everyone's SuperCoach side going into this round 13. But Timmy, welcome, mate. How'd your round go?
Oh, it was a funny round. Not so great. I think it was a really nice opportunity to move ahead this week had we nailed the Teddy captain, but I was Captain Cleary. I got sucked into those early games. I VC'd Cam Munster, but wasn't sort of enticed enough to loop that. And then sort of just went, I'll just go with a safe one here and go with Cleary. But yeah, Teddy would have been nice. I did have it on him at one stage, but other than that, like I had a few blunders in the week. I had with Grant missing out. I didn't know whether I wanted to trade Grant out. That was a really big deal for me this week. I was pretty close to doing it. And I just thought, if he could be out for 2 weeks, then 3 weeks, if he doesn't come back from Origin ride and maybe he gets a niggle, but I thought, it's going to be too hard to get him back in. So I didn't do it. I played Tyrone Wishart. He ended up getting me a 13 after updates, which is really disappointing. I was hoping he was going to play a bit more than the 20-minute role that he got. I in my head, I had that he was going to come on after 20 minutes and play hooker for the majority of the game with Cheese moving back to a sort of running role. But yeah, that was disappointing. So I kind of panicked a little bit throughout the week, and then I was only doing one trade, and then I ended up boosting and doing 3. So I tried to make up for it I brought in Manu for Tass with some of that money I had from downgrading Tommy Turbo to Karaz. So I'm pretty happy with how Manu went with 77. That's not too bad. Hopefully it goes better for me at fullback next week. And the other one I did was TPJ. I was bringing him in for Tuolungi. But yeah, you guys were kind enough to let me know that he was pulled out. Not good, can't play today. So I was flipping between him, Hudson Young, and Tapine in my side, and I ended up going with Hudson Young, who scored 30 points less than Tapine. But I really got sucked into by Hudson Young's 100-point score last week. So hopefully he's got a few more of those in him over the next couple of weeks. But I think he'll be an easy sell to move on to a round 17 guy. Just sucks that I used a boost when I didn't plan to. But finishing score set so far before the update is 1175. So it's not too shabby. I feel like it's about par. There's some really big scores I've seen out there, but
no, I reckon par's probably around 1100. So I reckon you're well ahead. And like you were saying with Wishart there, and even bringing Hudson Young instead of Tarpane, I think you just taped it quite well. But yeah, I got just a bit more than you. Got 1204 maybe before today's updates. Again, Tedesco. Just like you, I had the VC on Munster and I was like, it's such an awkward score, 103 or 102, I think. At that point, I was like, that's so awkward. I just wish it was more or less. Didn't loop. And like you, Captain Nathan Cleary for a pretty underwhelming score. But I guess the next best option. Yeah, the next best option for captaincy was Nico Hines, and he updated to 51 today, so it was pretty much the same. So it wasn't much of a loss. But I guess we'll move into the games for this week. Still nothing on the Origin team, which is a bit annoying. First game of the round were the Melbourne Storm and Manly, and I guess the big one was Harry Grant. He was ruled out the day before, and it was kind of especially for someone who you didn't have a suitable backup for Harry Grant. It was a decision that I feel a bit like to make. I know, especially
I feel pretty dumb bringing him in now, bringing in Wishart. I thought it was a little bit genius just because when I picked him up, he was playing fullback, and I thought if I can get a guy that's going to play fullback for a couple of weeks in hooker, it could be kind of handy. He might average me about 50 or 70 or even jag me, a nice big one occasionally, but with him playing Penrith the first game at fullback, that, got him out of favour. I thought it was also kind of genius the fact that if Harry didn't play, I'd get the word in time to be able to play another Storm player in that spot. But yeah, it looks like I'm really trapped there. I might be forced into trying to move him on pretty soon because I think it's going to cause me more headaches going forward.
Well, I guess the issue is there's kind of not really. I mean, we had Wolford play today, who played 50 minutes, which is a lot more.
Yeah, it
than
was
what
strange,
I
wasn't it?
I think you're going to win that bet for sure, Timmy. I think I'll be giving you a case of beer. Probably halfway through the season because it'll probably be the early kind of make up the thing. But I guess Munster was the shining light in this one. After two, down weeks. I mean, it must be Origin time. That's probably why he's lifting his performance. Had a double, got 113 in the end, and it was kind of, if you didn't have him, you're going to struggle, and if you did, I mean, bravo. And the vice captains, I mean, there were a few that looped him, but in the end, just having him was good enough. One
don't
guy
think it was that major of a slam dunk
Yeah.
to have looped him anyway. Like, it's not.
Yeah,
that
no, I
big a
mean,
deal.
yeah. In hindsight, potentially, but depending on your loop, you could have ended up with someone who scored 10, 15 points. I guess one, Josh King's kind of another underwhelming score. I know our mate Brandon Savage on the countdown show on Thursday was going, if he gets another 30 or 40 points, I might reconsider about not holding him to 17. But if he goes and scores another 30 to 40 points, is he a sell, Tim? Like, there's not really much point if he's going to be sort of banging out these ordinary scores.
Yeah, it's awkward. I don't know. I wouldn't, maybe not on one performance. You could maybe still hold him for round 17. I don't really have many round 17 numbers. I don't know how many Savs would have or other people that and Josh King. So maybe he could be a handy one just to hold on to for that through that period and then get rid of him after that.
So I guess Manly do play the bye next round, so that's kind of a bit we can talk about. Any Manly players that you, I guess, are looking at for potentially next week, or do you have any of the? I know you have Ruben Garrick, but you're looking at any other ones?
Yeah, well, with me, I sort of me doing the boost last week. I thought I can either take it easy the week like now or go hard still, and it gives me that flexibility. Especially after having Wishart score poorly, I thought I've got to try and make this up somehow. So I thought if that meant just a one or two extra bye players, that'll probably make up for it. Make it a bit harder to make moves down the back end of the season, but I didn't really want to fall behind too much. I kind of like Olakau'atu. I think he's looking good. Obviously, he scored the highest amount of points for them in that game, so I guess you could say that sort of stands out. Didn't score that great the week before, but yeah, now that Turbo's not there, maybe he does get a bit more action, which is a lot of the chat. And I don't mind him as a option to possibly keep as well and hold on to as a guy that you could not have to move on. Anyone you like?
Yeah, I mean, yeah, I do like. I mean, I have Olakau'atu as well, and yeah, I've been happy with him ever since I brought him in. I guess he seems to be more involved with Turbo not in the side because I guess he's one of their attacking weapons that Cherry Evans decides to move just to use. So we'll move on, I guess, to what was touted as one of the matches of the season. It was first versus informed Cowboys.
Yeah,
but Timmy, mate, the Panthers the Cowboys are pretty ordinary, but the Panthers, they just dominated and they just took a stranglehold, I guess, on them. They had Ruben Cotter had like 42 tackles at halftime.
All due respect to them, they didn't have Lolo there. It wasn't their full squad. But, I think they played fairly well. It was nice to see that we did have their measure, though, because I was kind of a bit worried about them lingering around, and they were doing a lot better than I thought they'd be doing for the year. But, yeah, it was a great game by the Panthers. Some pretty decent options like Dylan Edwards, Coruscant. I don't mind some of those options. I don't know whether getting sucked into Dylan Edwards' 100 might be a bit of a trap, though. I don't know. He hasn't had a great deal of them. He's more of a peak 80 guy, isn't he?
Yeah, and he's not exactly a flashy player either. Like, you look at the fullbacks, you want a flashy player that you know in your head it's going to go massive. Dylan Edwards, he doesn't appear to be that, but he has 20 runs a game. got a good try on the weekend. He is involved in their sort of their right side attack. He stays away from the left, which I guess kind of hurts him a bit in terms of SuperCoach, but does play next week. And if you, I mean, kind of a lot of teams only down to one fullback now. So if you want to roll the dice on a Dylan Edwards, I don't mind it at all.
I feel like he's a safe option. He's a bit conservative. I feel like it's a bit of you wouldn't expect too many hundreds. I think that'd be about his highest score he'd get for the year. I could be wrong, but yeah, I don't mind him. Coruscant looks all right too if he doesn't get picked for Origin. I'm assuming that they'd go with Cookie.
Yeah, I mean, they will go with Cook. It's just whether he's somewhere in the 21 or 19. I think even if he could be named, but he still could play next week. Regardless, because I know they drop it down, they send him back to play for that club the next week, except for I think 18th and 9th is usually from a team not playing. So I think he'll be playing regardless. And some players, some SuperCoaches could have jumped on him last week with the Harry Grant news, because I know he was a mid 400 price. So, but I guess the Cowboys, we saw a few things today about the Maroons team. Kind of looks like he's going to get a spot, and Nanai, which I thought was a bit surprising. I mean, he's only quite young, and I guess hasn't quite proven he can, I guess be an Origin player. But that's what Billy's deciding. He's, I guess, blooding a new team. There, Drinkwater was kind of the big disappointing one in this. He was brought in.
Well,
probably a month ago.
I was pretty close to looking at him and getting him too.
I
didn't think for this game. I did. My advice was sort of stay off for the Panthers game and maybe get him the week after, especially because I think he had the BE of about 111.
Yeah.
But I don't know. After seeing him get a 12 now, I don't know whether I'd want to pay $600K for him for, that one round of footy, sort of particularly for next week. Now it's turned me off him.
I mean, the Cowboys do have an all right draw from here, I guess, between the two buys, so you can kind of move on to someone else. But yeah, it's you kind of feel if you're going to pay, you'd be about $550K now, you kind of feel like you want to kind of keep him and play him for a lot longer. But if he's going to be scoring 12 points in some games, then
it's pretty hard to sort of bring him in this week over sort of a Dylan Edwards when one scored 100 and the other one scored 12. You know what I mean? I know you can't copy and paste last week's scores and expect them to be the same week after week for you, but geez, just looking at that on paper, it's a bit hard to, I reckon, pull the trigger on a Drinkwater.
Viliami Kikau, mate, your love is the one that your team's named after. Another.
Do you know what? I kind of don't mind him doing it because it's like people are sort of bringing him in when, he's probably not a buy. People didn't really want to do it. They, hate on him enough. And then that's just what happens, though. You know what I mean? Like he'll score a few 80s in a row and then he scored about 4 of them in a row. So it's a bit hard to expect him to keep those up. So I think like a 30-ish last week, a 30-ish this week. It's what you can kind of expect. And I think that's why I love him, because other people will get rid of him and then I'll hold on to him and he'll start doing well again. So you just got to be patient with players like him.
He's just that roller coaster. You just go with it. If anyone has any questions or just comments, just send them through. We hopefully I know what I'm doing and I can advertise them at the bottom.
Looks great though. He's making some bloody big tackles. Really, kick out. He's smashing people.
But it's not really what you want, eh? It's
not great for SuperCoach. But
an extra 2 points for smacking someone.
I get excited by anything that he does when he just sort of dives at someone and he's like, I just see the cape on him and I just think he's a hero. I love him. But yes, it's not always ideal for SuperCoach. Needs to be scoring tries or setting them up.
Moving on to the third game, the game of two halves. This one, Titans and the Broncos. Titans had a 24-6 lead at halftime, and then I wasn't actually like watching this game. I was just following the scores, and then all of a sudden it's just ticking. The Broncos were coming back, overtook them, and just blew past them. What'd you make of this one, Timmy? Farmworth, good. Ezra Mann, he was good as well. I mean, all SuperCoaches are probably hoping that he gets the spot when Reynolds comes back, but do you think he's done enough?
Oh, it's going to be hard for him to keep this spot because I think the their fullback Tessie News due back soon, so maybe they might even go with that Tamari Martin at 5'8", because I think they sort of like him as well. It seems like there's so much competition there. It's a bit of a risky one to go with. I mean, if he gets the nod and gets the spot, great. I think he looks like a really good option for Supercoach. He's really exciting. Loves to have a run, and he's got a lot of excitement and pizzazz about his game. Cobbo was decent again.
Yeah, I was just going to mention him.
Fafito did one of his classic runs from dummy half and on return games. So yeah, he might be an interesting watch and see whether he gets picked for Origin. I really think that they would pick him, like even off the bench for some sort of impact. He's got to have a spot in their side, surely.
Just on X Factor alone, I think he's someone that can create something from nothing. So I think for that reason, I mean, you don't have to play him a whole game. Just bring him on and let him just do some damage. So, but like he said, I think he is a big watch. I mean, if he doesn't play Origin, he's going to be maybe about 600K for next week. The issue is he's not really playing 80 for the Titans, and I don't know if you want to bring someone in for 600K. Potentially, you're going to probably keep him to the end of the year, but he might not even be an end of year player at that price if he's going to be playing 50 minutes.
I still like those players that are scary, that can do anything, you know what I mean? And I think if the Titans are going to have any sort of success this year at all, they're going to need to have him on the field as much as they can. The only awkward thing is you might pick him up now. He doesn't play this. Say he doesn't get selected for this State of Origin, he might get selected for the next one, and you won't have him for the next buy. So it could be an awkward thing still, but I still kind of would like to have him, especially if he was a bit of a pod.
Yeah, and I mean, it probably will be. I guess before we move on, next week we all get 3 trades. That's without a boost. So if you want a boost, you'll get 4. I don't plan on using even 3 next week. I've kind of built my team how I wanted, and this week was kind of just going to be, maybe 1 or 2 players that I mean, like, yep, bring him in for this week. One game that a lot of people were hoping they didn't have to watch, I guess, was the Warriors and the Knights, which actually was surprisingly an all right game. Warriors led, and then I guess Newcastle led by Ponga, who was, again, good without being brilliant. I guess from the Warriors side, I brought in Sean Johnson this week, punted Ilias. Again, he was, I guess, a number for this round. He was on 3 at halftime. I was like, oh no, what have I done? Savs messaged me. I was like, SJ ? I'm sure he was having a laugh emoji behind it as well. But he had a try assist, a couple of repeat sets to get some points. But I mean, I'll probably disappear him after the buys. Hopefully, he has another big score this week. Aiken was good as well, without just all in base pretty much. Got some 66 points. Viliami Valea with another try to somehow prolong his decent scoring.
Haven't played him for the last 2 rounds when he scored decent. We're going to play him next week because I've held on to him, and he's probably going to go back to scoring us that 10 or 11. So it's going to be frustrating, but hopefully he's got a bit of confidence behind him and he can cross again for us next week.
Yeah, he's not a player you want to play because, like you said, he can go score 10 points. Tohu Harris, Tim, are you targeting him for the bye next round?
I don't think so. I think I was burnt too much by him last year. I think he's good enough. He 50, you'll take a 50, but I wouldn't want much less than a 50 out of him. He's around the 600K-ish mark still, I think. Yes, he'll go down a bit. He'll go down to like 550. Maybe he's a decent buy, but I don't know. I think it's a bit vanilla, and I think he could probably go elsewhere. I don't know.
I was watching him, and he kind of seems a bit, I don't know, a bit sluggish or behind it. And I guess you kind of get that coming back from an ACL injury. He just seems, just a step slower or a bit
old and tired sort of thing.
Yeah, so I mean, he played 80 minutes. He got 50 points, and a lot of that was just tackles. But I mean, it's a Tohu. He's always been a buy player, but like you said, some players. I mean, one player who a lot of people probably go on is Angus Crichton when we get to that game, because he looks like he might be missing Origin, so he's going to be a player that probably a lot of people will be bringing him in. He's definitely turned his form around.
It's crazy how the Roosters are all looking good now as their form's getting good, and it looks like their jaw's too hard to bring them in, but everyone's starting to perform, so it's a confusing one.
It's just the Roosters. It's like they just start, go like this. Oh, wrong way, remote. Just, level out, and then all of a sudden they just play good and spike at the right times. The Knights, David Clemmer just keeps just pumping out these decent scores, Timmy. And he seems like one of the best front row options to go with. He's probably in the top 3 the way he's going. He seems to be getting good minutes, loves an offload. And I guess he might be a front row that we kind of potentially target as our third one for the round 17 bye, because he seems to be blacklisted by New South Wales. They just don't seem to want to pick him at all. So,
I don't mind him. He's also a little bit vanilla-ish for me. Like 65's a solid score. I guess he'll take that most days quite happily. Why not? I'm on the fence about him. I feel like I couldn't say it's a bad thing, but I don't love it also. You know what I mean? I don't think it'd matter if you went with him or didn't have him. It's one of those.
It's a boring trade. It's like a boring trade, isn't it? Because there's nothing exciting about it. I know what you mean. I know what you mean, Timmy. I guess one game that kind of wasn't really boring. It was pretty much the left edge side for the Rabbitohs that absolutely tore the Tigers apart. All 3 of them. We had Cody Walker, Campbell Graham, and Alex Johnson all ton up. Anyone who had a collection of those guys were absolutely cheering in this game. Timmy, you have Cody Walker? Just
Cody, yeah. I was pretty happy with that. He, having scored 2 tries himself, he was in, the ones that Campbell Graham were all setting up. I mean, last year, Cody Walker probably scores a lot more than that. I think they usually were given a bit more to the playmaker than the centres, but the centres are getting a lot of the try assists this year. So, Campbell Graham's an interesting watch now. I don't know if he's going to be named for Origin or not, but that performance may have pushed him over the edge. But I don't know. If not, I kind of like him moving forward as well on that Bunny's left side now.
Yeah, 100% agree. If he's going to stay on that left centre role, we saw what Dane Gagai did there last year. He's definitely a final 17 player, Campbell Graham at centre wing, and even especially if he misses Origin, which the expected or leaked teams today say that he's probably not going to be picked for game 1. Still no word on the teams yet, but he's been.
I feel like if he's not going to get selected, he's one injury away from making the side, so it's always awkward still as well. But I do like what I see.
Yeah, and I know Mikey mentioned it. I don't know if it was on the pod might have been last Sunday. We might have just mentioned in our little discussions that we had. I saw Mikey yesterday out at the Lees Club having a drink.
Yeah, right. Is he loose or what?
Nah, Mikey doesn't.
He's pretty tame.
He's not like Savs, 2 cruises and Savs, jumping off the tables. But he sort of mentioned that he kind of wants Campbell Graham as well, but Alex Johnston. I know you had him a lot. You brought him in last year, Tim, and he was pretty important for you.
I don't mind him, hey. As long as he's going over and he's getting those tries, which last week he got the hat trick. I think that cemented him as the highest Rabbitohs try scorer of all time, taking over Nathan Merritt, which is pretty cool. Oh, I love him. But he is a bit of a scary one. I feel like maybe if Campbell Graham can keep being involved and having that last touch and that last pass, maybe he's just as good to have, and maybe with a little bit more base in him, he's a little bit more secure. But I think he could probably take both. I liked him last year, and it's just because I'm not as hot on the Bunnies this year as I was last year. I feel like it's a little bit not as on as it was last year, but it could be on every day, Jay.
I mean, if what kind of was the Tigers and they defensively they're a bit off, but
yeah,
I mean, if we see that from South, in the next couple of rounds after the bye, then yeah,
one to watch for
I mean,
sure.
For sure. I guess before we move on, this is a question from Wickstar. Tarpanay or Tohu for bye coverage in second row? Timmy?
Well, I like the look of Tarpany today. I was pretty much going really close to getting him in. I actually brought him into my side and then moved him back out for Hudson Young. I was tossing up all afternoon. Yeah, sucked in by that 100 last week from Hudson. And just the fact that he plays 80 minutes. I was a bit scared off the fact that I've seen that Tapine has a few 40-minute games in him, but I think you can get a good read of him each week. Like when they're playing that one back on the in the like they had who was it, Schiller this week, and they also had the hooker coming off the bench as well. What's his face? Starling. So I think like if you can see that there's only not much depth in there's not like a 4-forward bench, then you could play him real confidently to Pine, because when he's playing that 60-minute role, he's usually in for 60 points at least. So I do like him. He looked great today. Like he had heaps of runs, even by like the 15-minute mark. I think he was on about 36 of his points by about the 15-minute mark. He played pretty decent minutes still today as well. So I'd probably lean him, even though he plays less minutes, just because he seems to have a bit more of upside, a bit more offload. He's got a mullet.
Is that a win for you, is it, Timmy? Actually, you are a person who historically likes a good haircut.
Do like a good haircut.
And you,
not a big fan of Tohu Harris's hair.
I guess the Tigers, they were quite handsomely beaten. Not really much in terms of Supercoach. Dane Laurie was decent in his return back to Tigers, but again, not really going to be Supercoach relevant. Going down the road for them. I guess I don't really want to talk about this one, but the Sharks and the Roosters, Cronulla Sharks, terrible first half. We were good for about 20 minutes in the second half, but we were off the ball. And like we sort of mentioned, the Roosters, they just seem to be clicking this year. Again, we start another one. Just saying, Talakai looks so much better with Wade Graham gone. Again, I don't really know about all this talk about, Wade Graham killing Talakai, because Teague Wilton is exactly this. Teague Wilton does not pass the ball at all. So I guess maybe they use him more as a block player and give him more ball. But I've noticed since he destroyed Morgan Harper, they've kind of just moved, like the defenses jam up on him and they get him into his face and kind of stop him.
They've worked him out a bit more. It seems like they're not going to him as much as well, and not using him as well as they possibly can. Like before, he was getting those massive, deep run-ups, giving him the ball early, and he could just, monster them. But yeah, he was up against Manu this week, so it was always going to be a bit of a tough one. I thought Joey Manu would have his measure.
Yeah, and I guess this is the first time Talakai's kind of got an attacking start in a while, so we'll take 65 from him. But yeah, like you said, Joey Manu, you did bring him in, and he kind of got some late junk on him. He had intercept try and then another intercept late on. So
yeah,
but I mean, he's going to be.
I love that individual stuff that Joey does. That's why I sort of rushed him in, especially after that bad score from Wishart. I ended up sitting Suwali and playing Manu, so that I made those points up where I would have, otherwise not have done that. So I feel pretty good about that, having used the extra trade. But then again, very disappointed with that other trade I made, and they're both pretty average. Karazin, and also the Canberra boy, Hudson Young, went both pretty terrible, both sub 30 issues or sub 40 scores. So using 3 trades in 1 week, but hopefully they do me good next week.
Mate, Timmy, the way you're going, mate, you're flying towards the top. I think they'll probably pan good. Like you said, Sawali went off injured. The way the centre wings have sort of been going, he was probably heavily played by a lot of super coaches. Like you, I ended up benching him as well, but for Carraz, who got an extra 4 points, so it didn't really matter that much. I guess couple of Sharks. Cam McInnes, look, he seems to be going all right. Got that second row forward hooker duel. What do you reckon about him?
I think there's a lot of interesting second rower hooker dual position guys at the moment. You've got obviously Ruben Cotter. There's the Cheese. There's Jazz Tavunga. There's Cam McInnes. I think Cam McInnes and Ruben Cotter seems to have the edge over the other two guys at the moment, but it wouldn't surprise me for the Cheese to pick his form up. Start getting some tries again. His form's been a little bit off this year compared to last year, SuperCoach wise, and probably a little bit for NRL as well. But yeah, I like the look of Cam this game. I think it could almost go him or Cotter, or even both, and you could even swap them around as a second thing when you've got Harry there if you want as an alternate thing week by week. That's kind of cool as well. I don't have either, but I kind of feel like I want one. For maybe
like you said, I do like that, how you can have, be say sitting one for 1 week, and then playing one the next week. There might be injured, rested, or whatever. Or Harry Grant is rested, for example, and you want to throw your R's on someone else. So I like that. Mm-hmm. Will Kennedy, he's going to be very, very cheap soon. He goes -10 into 1. But I guess you kind of don't really want to be. I mean, maybe 4.
How did he only score one?
I don't know how you play 80 minutes and only score 1 point. There's a few errors in there, but still 1 point. That's quite difficult to do.
There was a time late last year I was looking at him like he's somewhat of an option. I was kind of scared of people who did pick him up last year too. But yeah, I don't know. That's a bit like that Drinkwater one. When you see that really low score there, it kind of pushes you away from paying for him.
Nico Hines again was a bit underwhelming. He was, I think, second most captained along with Cleary. So I mean, they're pretty much the same, so it wasn't too much hurt. But one player we all wish we did captain, Timmy, he seems to be back, is James Tedesco. He was phenomenal.
It's funny because he was kind of on my chopping block. I was considering if he didn't have a great performance this weekend, I thought, to try and get some buy players in, is he one of the Origin players I move on? And I think he's cemented a keeper spot in my side now after that. He looked the goods. Hopefully gets through Origin okay and comes back to the Villi Army unscathed, because, I really like what I saw from him.
Yeah, he was great. And I guess you have him, Mikey has him, I have him. There's one member on this panel, which I'm sure we're going to bring up on Tuesday, who doesn't have him. And, it's going to be fantastic. But we'll leave that till Tuesday.
We'll leave that suspense.
I guess Daniel Tupou, he turned up as well. And we've found out today that he's going to be picking the Origin team. So that's a lot of players, a lot of super coaches would have been expecting him to be a number for him next week. But
good on him for getting that spot back. Hey, good on him, because, he's been a great winger. He did nothing really to lose that spot last year. There was just 2 other blokes ahead of him. And it seems like, they've obviously thought they've liked what they've seen more out of him this year than the Fox. And I can get around that. That's fine. I guess Tupou's been pretty solid.
And I guess Freddie's probably thinking as a bit of a to combat the aerial ability of, say, a Xavier Coates, or potentially either Oates or Cobbo, whoever's on the other wing, who are both pretty good in the air. So I guess he's thinking, I can't have 2 short wingers. And Fox, like you said, he's definitely been behind it since he's gone to the Dogs. But like I said, Tupou, good on him. Butcher and Crichton.
Both of them, Nate Butcher for 400k. I was kind of also keen on him. I know a lot of people picked him up, and you'd be real happy with a with an 80 from him. I think that looks pretty solid. How much have we got? Can we get Angus for now?
Well, he was about
Up on
450, 550, sorry. But I think I'm not sure what his break even was. He'll go up a bit, so he's going to be just probably about 550, break even 65. Yeah, it'll be about 550k. Come lockout Monday morning, and if he's not playing Origin, I think he's going to be pretty. He looks to be back to the Angus of old.
I just worry about. I guess you could at least get him. You got him for buy coverage if he doesn't play Origin this game. I just get scared about those other players that are next man up if there's an injury to the Origin squad, and you lose him later. But I guess you can worry about that later on, can't you? And try cover that elsewhere. But yeah, maybe wouldn't want to turn you off buying him. Who would you prefer? You've got Crichton, don't you?
Yeah, I've got Crichton.
Yeah.
Who would I prefer out of him?
550, yeah, one for 400 or one for 550. Crichton's getting back into form. I guess he's a proven gun. But Butcher looks pretty good too.
I think I'll take the pedigree over him. Butcher did have a try with that 80. So, I mean, Angus had a try assist as well. So, pretty much scored similar. But, I don't know, Tupanua was sort of hanging around that team as well.
I'm a little bit starting to not worry too much about the Roosters draw as much as was panicking about it before. You know, how it's been super hard with like Para, the Storm, Penrith, and then, I think playing two of those teams again soon after. So, I don't know. It seems like they're up for it. So maybe they won't go through the roof every game like Teddy with a massive one every game, but I think they'll still be fairly consistent and play good footy. So hopefully they still score well. I'm kind of still interested in them now, I think, particularly Angus. I get scared when other people have him and I don't.
Don't worry, Tim. That's a Tuesday conundrum for you, isn't it?
No word on
Monday's
the teams list yet?
No, it's only news? I guess the team that we have already heard about. Unless I'm missing something, I've got the Major show on and nothing's shown up yet. So I guess we'll go to today's games. Dragons, Bulldogs, Lomax with a big score. He could update to a ton as well.
Looks good, doesn't he?
He's probably going to be in everyone's final team. Yeah, for sure. Blake Laurie getting his first career try. 91 games.
Boys were getting around him for that, weren't they?
They all loved it. It was like he won a grand final or something. Now we just need Big Alex Twal to score 100 games, and he's the next one. I think the stadium may erupt. Everyone will storm the field if he scores, which, I mean,
exciting.
The NRL will probably make a lot of money, but for all the fines they'll hand out, but you never know. Other than that, not really much from Dragons. Cody Ramsey, another decent score. Playing fullback, he could potentially be not really a downgrade option, but sort of a straight swap sort of to a player that we will play next week, but we want to get rid of. To say Cody Ramsey might play 17, but again, doesn't exactly have decent base, and historically, he's not really a high scorer. Yeah,
don't know if I can get around it. He looks okay for NRL, and he looks okay. Wow, I didn't realize he was only 279k. I thought he would have been a little bit more. Yeah, okay. And you can get him at centre wing as well, so maybe he's not too bad. I don't mind him now. I don't really like his haircut. So if that was we could stick that into the con flag. We could chalk that up. I don't know. Maybe. I'm worried that you'd pick him up and then they'd, for some reason, decide just to give Sloan a go then at that time, and then you'd be like, and lose out. And so that's a bit of a job security thing there. Sloan looked okay in the game before, what I saw of him. I saw a little bit of the game, but he looked okay in the New South Wales Cup game.
Yeah, Sloan seems to be on the way out of the Dragons. I guess Hook probably doesn't like him with these plans, and I know he's kind of been shipped around other clubs where they pick him up. I mean,
you reckon he's on the way out? Wow.
Well, I mean, I've saw a few things this week saying that
Yeah,
They
right.
kind of want to get rid of him, or he wants out as well.
Yeah, fair enough. He's a young star. He wants to go.
Yeah. Doggies, I guess the
Doggies.
great Ming, big Maxi King, pumped out, I think, 65 minutes, 56 points, just as he was kind of plodding. He was kind of, going downwards with his scores of over the last month, and he goes and
Yeah, I was forced
plays
to
big
play him this
minutes.
week.
Not the worst, but
Yeah, no, I was
I'm
happy
pretty
with his
sure.
performance. He kind of looked good out there. He was a busy sort of second rower that wanted to sort of still get his hands on it like a front row and take plenty of hit ups. So, yeah, that was nice. Making a lot of tackles. Got the HIA, which is a little frustrating. Glad he came back on. But, yeah, Carraz was a bit underwhelming, wasn't he? I was
Yeah.
really on the fence about whether I wanted to play him or not. I thought, geez, this guy could possibly really go off against a Dragon side that aren't, super fantastic, But yeah, it didn't look like the same dude. He was out, didn't get as much love, didn't come in for it as much as happy to sort of pass the ball from dummy half and stuff. I thought he was going to scoot sometimes, but yeah, I guess you can't expect too much for a bottom dollar rookie. He'll still go up in price. Maybe he's just not a play week by week.
Yeah, I mean,
Next
kind
week
of got
he'll play him.
I mean, everyone's playing next week. He could go out and score quite decently. I mean, he was only a pass away from scoring a double. Avrilo had him unmarked, but he was also unmarked, so he just dived over himself. So sometimes that's the way the cookie crumbles, and a lot of players were forced into actually playing him. But
yeah,
I mean, 24, so while he got 20 as well. So I mean, if you play both of them, kind of a bit unfortunate. But unlike us, Timmy, we only played one. So
I played neither.
Oh, you played neither.
Yeah. So I really had to be on my A game there from that Wishart stuff up earlier in the week, mate. Had to fix it up. I was starting to have near panic attacks. At least it's season defining. Just rookie mistake. Yeah, Wishart's going to have to pay a price for that. A training throughout this week. I'm having to do a few extras. Yeah.
Permanently benched, I reckon. Back to Reggie's maybe. And I guess the last game that sort of just finished about an hour or so ago was actually a pretty good game. Raiders versus Parramatta. The first 10 minutes was the most hectic 10 minutes of starting football I've ever seen. There was balls bouncing everywhere. There was kicks. There was regos. There was knock-ons. It was all over the shop. IPAP again sort of played the similar role that he did last week, where he started lock, had a little 5-10 minute breather, and then came on and played the edge. I guess that kind of came in with the Penasini having the HIA, which was a pretty bad one, to be honest. That's kind of when he came on. So I don't know if he was going to get less minutes or more than what he actually did.
He hit Hudson Young. I was real worried Hudson was going to go off because I brought him in and it looked like he copped it mostly just on the mouth. But yeah, Penasini copped it pretty sweet.
And I guess Dylan Brown, another great game for him. Everyone kind of got rid of him. I know I got rid of him. So when he got moved to centres, but I mean, he looks like a good buy, especially for the round 17 one. He might be second 5'8". The issue is, I guess, like yourself, you've got Munster and Cody Walker, and you probably don't really want to be moving Cody Walker on because he will be playing that buy. So
yeah, it's one of those ones where I think you can't have them both. So you probably just hold on to the guy you've got as long as he's doing enough of a job. As long as they're competing. Yeah, I'd be happy just to go without one of them. But yeah, Dylan Brown's looking great.
Yeah, and I guess another guy that was much traded in was Ryan Madison, and I didn't even really notice that he was out in the field, but he still got 60 points in about 60 or so minutes.
Yeah, a couple offloads and
gets through some work.
Yeah, he's a big boy. I think he might get an Origin bench spot. I think they should have him coming off the bench for them too. But we'll see what happens with that.
Well, he has been named in the I guess the expected team, or like the league team.
Yeah.
So maybe there's a very good chance that he does make the spot. Not really much else from anything from Raiders. I guess you were disappointed in Hudson Young.
One of his worst scores of the year, unfortunately. Like I wasn't keen on any of these Raiders boys. It was just that with TPJ being out last minute, I thought, well, I just brought him in this week. I've got to move him on for take your free trade and put him onto someone else. But I actually know Hudson Young has had a 26 earlier in the year, but there's like plenty of 40s, a couple of 80s, a few 60s.
Yeah, but in terms of 80 minutes, because I think that 26 was he played half a game, I think. So
no, he got that in 70 minutes here. It says, but yeah, that was against the Cowboys round 2, but. It's really awkward because I hadn't had my eye on any of them, and I think I just kind of got a little bit greedy with Hudson Young because he's got 80 minutes on the field as opposed to Tarpney can play 40 to 60 minutes. Yeah, but yeah, a bit disappointing. But yeah, hopefully we get some good news with our buy numbers for this week and don't have too many of them fall out. I'm a bit worried about Kikau. He's on report for two events.
Was it just report? No charge. They would have already.
I'm not too sure. I'm not great at following that sort of news side of things.
I guess we still do not have any news on this bloody team. Don't know.
Any questions?
What's wrong with this?
From the good people.
I guess all I can go through is the most likely, the league team and what everyone's sort of saying is the team is going to be, which will be
that's a good idea.
Tedesco fullback, which is expected. Tedesco fullback, To'o and Tupou returns, and he will return for Addo Carr, who's been shifted out of the team. Centers, which was a major talking point for all of us, looks like it's going to be Stephen Crichton and Tony Staggs, which means Campbell Graham probably will. Actually, he's not even in the. Looks like he's not even going to be in the squad, so he's kind of going to miss out.
Yeah.
Altogether, expected halves will be Luai Cleary. That's pretty much going to be a lock. Cook will be the 9. Front row will be Junior Barlow and Payne Haas. 11 back row looks like it's going to be Sims, Murray, Yo at 13. And I guess the bench is kind of going to be important because you kind of expect
contentious this one.
Yeah, I mean, Nico Hines looks like I know he was called into the squad.
He's favoured, is he? Over Whiten. Yeah. I thought it sounded like they were going to go with Whiten.
Yeah, well, I know that they were kind of depending on how today went, so it's going to be either Hines or Whiten as 14. Both of them are going to be in the Blues camp. What way they go, I don't know. The other one will probably be 18th, 19th man. Looks like maybe Frizzell, Madison, and Campbell Gillard. And also in the squad, they reckon Whiten, Coruscant, Liam Martin, and Jacob Saifidi, which is a weird one. He's come out of the blue. Freddie seems to like these Saifidi twins. If I think Daniel's, I think he was injured, so Freddie probably got him confused and just goes, "I'm just going to pick the one that's fit."
Yeah, give me a Saifidi. Let's put a bit of Saifidi. No worries.
So I guess Angus Crichton's probably going to be missing out, which makes him probably a top buy for Origin. For the buy, sorry. Jake Travojevic is another one's going to miss out. He's the game seems to have gone past him. In terms of, the speed of it. We sort of saw that a lot last year where the game was just so quick and scores were getting blown out.
Yeah.
Even Supercoach wise, he plays 80 minutes, just makes 45 tackles and scores 45 points.
Yeah, it's difficult when you can't fit them all in. There's a lot of contention there, especially with Yo playing so good. Where do you put Jakey? He'd have to come off the bench, and there's probably better bench options with more impact than Jake Travojevic. So unfortunate, but I guess it probably won't pain him as much when his brother's not playing. It'll be a bit of make it a little easier.
Yeah, and I guess we don't really have much on the Origin, the Queensland Origin side. We kind of mentioned a bit before that there's kind of going to be a lot of Cowboys, Cotter. It's going to be one that hurts a lot of Supercoach owners. They brought him in hoping that he wouldn't play in the bye, and he was going to be their starting hooker, but it looks like he's going to probably get a spot. The one, like we were saying, Dave Fafita is going to be the one that's it makes it, doesn't make it, but we're saying we should pick him on X Factor. Nanai looks
I
like
think
he
they
might
should
be
pick him.
getting that spot. I guess the bench edge spot is kind of what they seem to be going with. But
Maybe he does offer a bit more pizzazz that with under the kicks. He nails those. He seems to be able to time a kick perfectly. So, yeah, maybe they want that over bustling for feeder. Because sometimes for feeder's not as impactful in State of Origin as he is just a regular NRL game, I've found. Doesn't sort of have that same impact, yeah. But
yeah,
we'll
and I
see
mean
how they go.
Origin's a different game where everyone it's really based around defense and being aggressive. Where for feeder prefers a bit more time, a bit more room to run. Where in Origin you ain't getting that. But still no team. I don't know what the hell Freddie's doing. Which is disappointing because we've gone through everything. There's no questions. We're going to be wrapping it up.
I'm thinking some interesting thing is going to be like the fill-ins that play that one game for Penrith and then just disappear. I feel like there'll be a lot of random names that we attempt to buy.
Ivan Cleary did say that he's rested a lot of the boys in Reggie's this week, which was Kurt Falls, Sullivan, Hopgood didn't play. There's outside backs. I think Christian Grime might have played. Rob Jennings. So all of them look like they're going to play. So Kurt Falls looks like.
What about Mav Geyer? Any?
No, he did play today. So did Lindsay Smith. So I mean, that was only the expected ones of who Ivan thought. Yeah, I need these guys to play next week because I know that Nathan's going to be out, Luai's going to be out, Tottenham's going to be out. So I need feelings for those. Maybe he wasn't expecting, Liam Martin, Stephen Crichton to be named.
None of them really stand out as a 1 week prospect though to me, and then you just have them disappear in your side either.
I mean, Kurt Falls would be one because he'd be bottom dollar, but you kind of don't really want to be taking over a halfback spot.
No.
Because you want four decent halves at the end of the season. So it's kind of always bringing, I guess, enough or one game nothing. We might play two. They might, rest them the next game. But, yeah, I don't think we're going to get any of these one and done cheapies that we're kind of
that's a shame
accustomed to. I mean, that's probably for all teams. Penrith's the main one because Penrith's just like half the New South Wales teams, Penrith, where all the other ones are sort of spread around amongst the teams nowadays.
Any questions?
No, none. They're just a very quiet bunch today. But they must just like Maxi more than me. Disappointing.
Don't take it personal, mate.
Yeah. All right, Timmy, mate. I consider it a success. Me and you, this is our first time being in charge of the old broadcast. So, thanks for sticking it with me.
No workers.
We'll be back on Tuesday. We should have a full panel. We cannot wait to give it to Savs about not having turbo. Oops, might have spilt something too much. But yeah, as soon as the Origin team comes up, we'll post it up on our page. A bit disappointing that we couldn't go through the confirmed team. Hopefully, what we did go through was enough.
I feel like there's going to be a big surprise still. Then, if we don't know, I feel like there'll be one big surprise. Maybe not so much for the New South Wales side, but
yeah. Well, when we're going to win, so it doesn't matter what Queensland pick. But until then, you go the Blues. Till then, we'll see you all on Tuesday. Hopefully, your SuperCoach week was good, and hopefully the updates are kind to you. So, catch us later. Go the Blues. See you Tuesday.